Good evening, everybody. Welcome to round 7 of the Prime Meridian Racing League. We are here for the Vopsy.com California 250. It is the third oval of the season, the 7th race of the season overall. And of course, Alexis Newsom won at Iowa, and then we also had Indianapolis, which was a power slide 1-2 for Henry Bennett and Hugo Olsen. But tonight the Untitled Speedway 2-mile D-shaped oval, as you can see on the track map right here. And as I said, it is a 2-mile oval with 14 degrees of banking in the turns, 11 degrees down the front stretch, which you can see right in the bottom left on the screen. And then on the back straight on the right, we have 3 degrees of banking, which is really kind of irrelevant. But oh well, 14 degrees of banking should be plenty for the drivers tonight. Currently, we are in the qualifying session. So let's bring up the timing tower and see where everybody stands at the moment as we wait for the timing tower to come up. There it is. We got Turner on the provisional pole. Matthew Turner with a very nice qualifying lap here at the moment. Not getting the timing screen on my own screen, but it is on the broadcast, so that's all that matters, I guess. But getting here a little bit late. Had some issues with train travel, believe it or not, but we are here as we try to pick up some cameras for the drivers. There we go. Let's pick up Sam Moyle on qualifying here. About 1.5 minutes left as Hugo Olsen jumps to P2. There he is. He just finished up his first lap. Currently on his second lap. Usually the first lap is the fastest, but maybe Hugo can improve on his second. Nope, he goes into the pits. As Sharon van der Sloot also stops on track, so Sam Moyle goes to P8. Down the back stretch, staying in 5th gear. Which is kind of interesting to be honest. But Sam wants to carry the momentum through the turns with the higher RPMs really pushing the car into the turns basically. If you are low on RPMs, the car doesn't really go forward anymore. As Sam stays P8, doesn't seem to be improving. Will Lyons out on track as well across the apron, and the start-finish line goes to P7 on the inside of row 4. Safe to say I expected a little bit better. Usually Will is one of the smoother drivers on the steering inputs, so you'd think in theory the oval should be a strength of his, but of course it doesn't have quite as much experience on them as most of the field probably has. So I do believe that's going to wrap up qualifying for all the drivers. So we will just give it a quick minute for the results to come in. Of course, we should also have the warm-up session, I do believe. There we go. 5-minute warm-up. And I'm going to try to get the overlay up on my screen. There we go, just got it on my own. But anyways, normally at this time on the broadcast, I have the driver and team standings up on the broadcast. I did not get the chance to get those ready. And I'm going to quickly explain this here. Because why not? We are in warm-up. There's not much to really cover. So, you travel by train here in the Netherlands quite a lot. And I go from my hometown to a city in the central part of the country. And I was dropping someone off there. Then I decided to go back home, but it's the same carrier, so you don't have to check out and check back in, usually. But what I didn't know is that you do have to do that because it doesn't register the ride then. So, yeah, big brain. Got a ticket for that, 63 euros. It's quite a lot of money, to be fair. But that's the reason I got home a little bit later than I wanted to, so I didn't get the chance to prepare the driver standings, but I will get them up on my phone so I can read them out to you guys. But in the meantime, drivers out on track for warm-up. And as always, trying to get the race settings right. Fuel window should be about 40 laps around this place. Tie is not much of an issue at all, because you're going flat out most of the run anyway, so not much to really manage in that kind of sense and really have an advantage. But going over the driver standings real quick, we'll just cover the top 5. So Will Lyon leads it by 23 points. You might think, didn't he have a big lead after the last race? Yes, he does, but now the drop weeks have been taken into consideration. The PMRL league, just like a lot of other IndyCar leagues, have a drop week. Basically, the worst result of the driver does not count towards the point standings, and that's the same for all the drivers. So that's why the points lead is a little bit less for Will Lyon now. 23 points over his teammate Daniel Dinsdale, who had a poor start to the season, but back-to-back wins moves him into P2, up 2 spots. Jesper Orman and David Saranzo drop down a spot each. Jesper with 166 points and David Saranzo with 146. And I do believe David's not racing here tonight, so he will drop down a little bit further probably. David's actually tied with Sam Blackwood for the 4th position. Then Matthew Levine sits in the 6th position. So those are the driver standings, the top 6 actually. And the teams, SMS Racing leads it by about 120 points over Indy Alliance Racing, and then Taylor Mills Racing sits in the 3rd position with a 58 point lead over NSH. So Taylor Mills Racing doing a great job this season. Definitely an improvement from the last couple of seasons. But at the moment, Hugo Olsen getting some race running in. But on top of the timing screens at the moment with a 31.85. And those are pretty quick lap times. It's actually 6/10 clear of Sam Blackwood, so that just goes to show if you get a nice toe on a single lap, you can actually go so much quicker. And this race, in the beginning of the stint, should be a big pack race, but of course, with all the dirty air getting involved, the field will spread out a little bit. I'm in the east part of the Netherlands, Thomas, and Zwolle is a city in the central part of the country. Yeah, it was a bit dumb from my end, because if you think about it, it does actually make sense. Like if you check in and then check back out at the same place, it doesn't actually register a ride. So that's kind of dumb. I mean, I can appeal it, so I'm gonna do that, but just a nice lesson to learn, I guess. The guy was chill though who gave me the ticket. I didn't have my ID on me, so he could have given me a ticket for that too, which he didn't. But 20 seconds left in warm-up, and currently Hugo also leads the way. And Hugo is probably one of the most experienced oval drivers in the field at the moment, because I don't see Henry Bennett in the field, who is amazing at Indianapolis. So I guess if you're good at Indy, you're good everywhere. But Erke Lindström up into the 3rd position, and I got corrected last week. I don't know who told me, but I do remember for sure somebody telling me Erke is a she, but it's a he. So I apologize for that, Erke. But I'm gonna try to get used to that now, because I think I've said she all along. So yeah, I really do apologize for that. But hey, at least we know the right one, the right pronouns now, so we can go forward with that. But yeah, I think it was Jesper Orman who messaged me about that. So thank you, Jesper, for pointing that out. But cars gridding up for the Vopsi.com California 250, and whilst we wait for the cars to take the green flag, Vopsi iRacing Paints is the race sponsor, and you can check her Instagram page out at Vopsi lowercase iRacing. She does amazing iRacing paints for not just the IndyCar but also many different cars and series. So yeah, check it out. Also check out Majors Garage, by the way. We have a referral link for the PMRL, which you can use on a Majors Garage setup purchase. Of course, it doesn't change anything for you. You still spend the same amount of money, but a small part of that money that you do spend will go to the league to help fund all of the sessions and the broadcasting too. So yeah, that's also in the description. But let's quickly go over the starting grid before we take the green flag. It is Alexis Newsom on the pole with Matthew Turner alongside, Hugo Olsen and Jasper Orman on row 2, AJ Musselman and Andreas Eich on row 3. Then we have Connie Naslund, Will Lyon, Callum, hold on, Croxon, yes, that's how you pronounce that, I believe. Matthew Levine on the outside of row 5. Then we have Anna Jorfi and Sam Blackwood, Sharon van der Sloot, and Seb Alexander, Erke Lindstrom, Shane Burke, Sebastian Kinder, who is a good friend of mine, in 17th position. All the way down there, hopefully for him he can make up some ground, but Sam Moyle rounds off the starting grid here for round 7 of the season, of course, the third oval of the season. The last oval will be at Pocono in a few weeks. And of course this is also the second race of the Triple Crown. So 125 laps, 250 miles. Probably 3 pit stops. Not including yellows, of course, you might see a little bit more of that then. But we will just have to wait and see. The winner at Iowa, Alexis Newsom on the pole position. And she will lead us to the green flag here for 250 miles of pack racing. Pace cars off and Alexis Newsom picks up the pace. We are green from the Auto Club Speedway. And Hugo Olsen goes right into P2, already made up a spot from the green flag, challenging Alexis Newsom into turn 3. And at the end of lap 1, it's going to be Alexis who leads across the line, but Hugo Olsen on the outside going to try to make something happen right there. Andreas Eich up into the 3rd position right now on the high side. Look at him go. That's where the clean air is at the moment. Already into the top 3. As he drives up behind Hugo Olsen, now gonna try to go to the middle. Alexis drops to P3, Hugo leads into turn 3, but now that lead is taken away by Andreas Eich. And he will lead lap number 2, already the biggest mover in the race so far. Callum Croxton also up 3 spots, right behind championship leader Will Lyon. And he's running an Apple TV livery, I think that was. Is that correct? I think it is. There it is. Yes. Oh, and I think that's AJ Musselman in the wall. I think Callum just pushed up there and AJ had nowhere to go. But AJ into the wall. There he is with right front suspension damage. Gonna try to limp his car to the pit, but we stay green. As the midfield is kind of spreading out because the dirty air is really kicking in. And everybody's single file at the moment. I'm not sure whether that's fuel saving or if they're actually struggling to follow. I think it's the first one, to be fair. Because I do know that regardless of the setup, the racing at Auto Club Speedway is just as intense as Michigan, which is pretty much always pack racing. And there we go, Hugo Olsen to the inside on the low line. And takes the top spot away from the team talent driver, but he's gonna look right back to the inside, and these two will try to swap the lead and probably try and pull away from the rest of the field. And I've seen this in another league where 2 teammates, of course these 2 are not teammates, but where 2 teammates try to work together to try and swap draft, basically drafting up behind, passing on the inside, and then doing the same on the other side of the circuit, and then do that all over again. And basically what that does is you draft, which means you will go faster down the straights. And of course the cars behind will have dirty air, so they will struggle to follow. And in doing that you can actually pull away from the rest of the field. But whether that's effective as early on as this in the race, I'm not really sure. But we'll find out eventually whether it is or not. As Seth Kindler is running in the 15th position right now on the high side, trying to look for the clean air. Seb's one of the drivers that I've raced against quite a lot. I know what he's capable of. But as you could see right there, his internet not always helping him out. As Seb was running right behind Erke Lindström, and he's also up 2 spots in the P14. Shane Burke right now though up 10 spots from P18 to P8, making his way through the field as we are only 8 laps in. Track temperature 19 degrees Celsius. So if you weren't really expecting a pack race, it's for sure gonna be one with those temperatures. As Shane goes all the way to the high side here, again looking for the clean air, gets a huge run off the turn right there on Jesper Orman, moves by into P7, and might challenge Matthew Turner as well, just in front. And I think that's AJ Musselman leaving the pits right there. And let's go on board here with Shane Burke for Simtech Motorsports. And let's listen, going into turn 1 here, how much he's lifting, because there is definitely some dirty air in front of him of about 6-7 cars there. But let's have a listen how much he's lifting. Really pushes up on the corner exit right there. But not really saving any fuel. That lifting that Shane right there did was purely because of the dirty air. There's nowhere to really go. You can see Shane looking for the clean air on the high side as well. Getting clean air on the front wing is oh so important in races like these. As he cuts to the inside. Goes 3 wide across the line there. Into P6. And there we go. Gonna cut right to the inside as well. Jesper Orman here for the top 5. So Shane Burke on the move right now. And so is Sam Blackwood, by the way. Just behind the top 3 with Matthew Levine getting up there as well. To the high side, so 3 wide across the line again. This time at the front though. As Sam also goes to the high side. Picking up that clean air. Gonna get a huge run off the turn right here as well. Draft up behind Hugo Olsen, and actually doesn't. He lifts off to save fuel. So Andreas Eick leads across the line to start lap number 13. I actually went to Eindhoven not too long ago, Thomas. It's a nice city, to be fair. I never really visit any cities in my own country, but it's nice when I do. If you come here again, let's meet up. But then I should be 18, so we can drink a beer or something, I don't know. Hi Patrick, good to see you in chat as well. Yes, I do commentary for PMRL now as well. Not just the Euro Series for VOR, but Hugo also slips down to the 5th position as Shane Burke goes to the inside and takes the race lead into turn 3. As we're going 4 wide in the turn right here. Not literally 4 wide, but there's enough space to fit 4 cars right there. You could see it on the seams. And speaking of those seams, those black lines on the track, it's actually stuff that separates the asphalt layers on the track. Of course, you can't really lay asphalt on a track that's I don't know how wide with a machine like that. So you have stuff there in between, and that stuff is so slippery. If you get on there with just 2 tires, the car gets either really loose or really starts to push up because the car just doesn't have any grip on those lines, on those seams. But currently it seems to be working for Shane Burke though. There we go. But Shane is up 17 spots from his qualifying result. So doing a great job. And so is Sam Blackwood, as I already mentioned, up 11 spots as well. Hugo Olsen, though, dropping down the order. Not really expected that, to be fair. So I don't know if Hugo's got damage or not, but he is losing so many positions, and it really does look like he does have damage. Or he's really fuel saving. It could be that too. But he's already dropped all the way down to the back end of the first group of cars, and then we have another group of cars led by Connie Naslund here, exiting turn 2. And those are 2 IR teammates with Seth Kindler right behind, and Alexis Newsom from the pole all the way down into 15th. I'm not sure what happened to Alexis here. I completely missed that. Maybe I can find something on the replays. Maybe something around here. I think it already happened right there. So I think Alexis hit the wall somewhere. It's just really hard to find where, so I'm quickly gonna do that. Because I do think it's quite important to find out. Can't see it here. So we'll go back live here, but I do think that Alexis hit the wall somewhere because she is really off the pace, and this is not like her at all. She is one of the better oval drivers in the field, so to see her struggling like this is highly unusual. So take her out of the mix, at least for now, until she can maybe get some damage repaired. But in the meantime, starting lap 20, Shane Burke still leads for Matthew Levine and Andreas Eick, the top 3. As Levine goes to the inside now for SMS Racing. He's the highest one of the team at the moment. And he's been the most consistent as well over the entire season. Will Lyon and Daniel Dinsdale has some issues. And Matthew Levine's always been on or near the podium in the races that he has raced. So everybody right now going single file. You could actually see going into turn 1 right there. Basically the high side is the longest way around, but it's also the one line where the tires get used up the least. So if you can run up there, it saves tires, but also with the clean air you can actually get a huge run too. So everybody basically tries to go for that high line, but everybody's doing it. So if you have like 2 or 3 cars going for that same line, the effect of that line really gets taken away, because with all the air push, the tires actually get worked more. So what Sam Blackwood is doing right now goes to the inside of the track to get the clean air on the front wing. But on corner exit, with Shane Burke actually taking the air away from Sam right there, pushes up and loses some ground again. Of course, it's all ifs and maybes, but if Shane didn't do that, I think Sam could have got on a great run. So that's something to watch as well, especially in the later stages of the race. But Shane Burke right now leads, and his teammate Sharon van der Sloot just rides along the wall here, but he's also making up ground, up 5 spots from qualifying into P7, started P12, and he's got Matthew Turner right behind. As we are coming up to 100 laps to go, we had one incident with AJ Musselman that we saw, at least, where we could have got on a caution for and we didn't somehow. So we are still green. Let's have a look at this incident with AJ Musselman then. So there's AJ, And I think that's Callum Croxton, yes it was, that just slid up the racetrack right here. We're gonna rewind it and see it from the onboard of Callum. We can grab it really quickly. There we go. So pushes up. AJ on the high side actually did have a little bit of space, but of course you have to anticipate how much space you're gonna get. Otherwise you're gonna lose so much time if you don't. So that's really tricky to nail right there. But regardless though, Callum really pushed up from the dirty air of the cars in front of him. Right here. And there we go. That's AJ on the high side. Really hasn't got anywhere to go, and boom, into the wall and right front suspension damage for AJ. And he's also the first driver out of the race officially. Now there was also an incident where Sam Moyle was involved, and also Anna Jorvis. I'm gonna try to find those. Got Anna Jorvis right here. Oh, it's already happened. Let's rewind again then. Actually gets loose in turn 1. So into turn 1 she goes. Actually gonna clip the apron. And apron very bad. Boom, into the wall. And somehow no caution for that either. So we stay green. 28 laps in now. As Jesper Orman's gone to the race lead. He's taken it away from Shane Burke. Shimmer van der Sloot having a look on the high side of Andreas Eick right there, but Andreas just closes off that door, which won't allow Sharon to take advantage of that. But Andreas passing Callum Croxton here for P3, and we'll basically see this all race long. Just drivers drafting by and dropping back and then going to the front again. That's basically how this racing works, as Croxton actually got tapped, I believe, by Sheriff van der Sloot. Might have been a little bit of contact. I think it's okay for now, but you don't want to do that too often, because these Indy cars, whilst they can take a little bit of a hit, you don't want to hit it too hard too often, because then the suspension will just break off. Oh, Callum slides up the track right there. Didn't hit anything though, but I do think he needs a new pair of underwear. It's always so scary when you're racing on an oval, when you've got cars in front of you. You really have to anticipate how much front end grip you're gonna lose, as Shimmer van der Sloot has to check up right there too. I think this is a first hand lesson for Croxton here, how oval racing works, because I don't think it doesn't really look like he knows how the dirty air works. He's just sending it into the turns, and then when the car pushes up he's getting out of the throttle. But sometimes it's just so hard to guess how much front end grip you're gonna lose with all the dirty air, because the air on these cars is just so sensitive. Even the slightest turbulence can just set off the car into the wall. Or send off the car into the wall. Wait, that's not a proper sentence. Send the car off into the wall. There we go. Let's have a look at Championship Leaderboard line then. Currently running in P10, right behind Hugo Olsen. And Matthew Turner and Hugo Olsen, just in front of Will, are both down 6 spots. I think those two are drivers that really just decided, we don't want to be right up there in the mix and risking our races with the championship in mind as well. We're just going to chill here, wait for the end of the race to really go for the race lead again. Of course, we saw Hugo Olsen mix it up at the front early on, but then he dropped back. So I think this is just strategic, what he is doing. As now Jesper Orman goes to the race lead. So whilst we are still on the green, let's very quickly go over the rest of the schedule for the series. Of course, tonight, Untitled Speedway. Next week, Watkins Glen, which is actually the track that I first did a broadcast for this league for last season. Then we go to Pocono for the third and final Triple Crown round, also the fourth oval of the season, before we round things off at Laguna Seca on the 13th of April. So that's the rest of the schedule. Of course, we already had 6 exciting races, which you can watch back on the channel here. If you aren't subscribed yet, make sure to do so, because the broadcasts for this league will be right on here every week. Sam Moyle and chat, me and Anna came together lap 3, I think it was blinking. Alright, let's have a quick look if we can find it. So many overtakes, I'm just scrolling through all of the passes here. Alright, so, oh, there's many cars moving away from Asian Musselman's crash right here. Just avoiding that. That's netcode for sure. Blinking here is Sam. Don't see anything yet. We're probably gonna see it right here through turns 1 and 2. Nope. Alright, let's go forwards a little bit. Oh, right. There it is. So, Anna slow off of turn 2, and then Sam, with the blinking and all of that, actually goes over the back end of Anna Jorfi's her car, and picks up suspension damage as well there. So Sam Moyle and Anna Jorfi exit from the race, as we have the first 3 cars in the pits. Schimberg, Erke Lindström and Conny Naslund. About the 40 lap pit window I talked about. So here we are. Speed with fuel and fresh Firestones on the cars for another 40 laps probably. Unless there is some yellow, which doesn't seem likely at the moment, because we have stayed green all the way so far. As Alexis Newsom continues to run off the pace. About 28 seconds behind the race leader. And if we look from the rear suspension of our car, we might see the leaders. There we go, coming through turn 4. So if we're gonna get a yellow, Alexis wants one right now. Sheriff van der Sloot now goes to the race lead. Good to see a countryman of mine go to the race lead here in the Prime Meridian Racing League. Of course, if you want to join the series, feel free to do so. You can follow PMRL on Twitter as well. All of the links will be in the description. As Jesper Orman takes the race lead back again. And it goes right into the pits. So Jesper Orman, actually locks the brakes into the pits. Hopefully for Jesper he didn't speed. But Alexis Newsom also in, and so are Andreas Eick, Matthew Levine, Sam Blackwood, Seb Alexander, Seth Kindler, Callum Croxton, but they are all from the lap before. As they exit the pits. So Jesper gonna stop in the box right here too. And just a lap later, Sharon van der Sloot also comes in, and I want to see where Sharon rejoins in relation to Jesper Orman. I think these two are going to be either very close, or one of the two will have a huge advantage track position wise. So let's wait and see how that plays out. But in the meantime though, these 3 that already pitted, Andreas Eick, Shane Burke, and I believe that's Erke Lindström as well, still battling the same way they have done the first 42 laps of the race. Here on lap 43 into turn 3. And Hugo Olsen is the only driver that is able to stretch his tank to 44 laps. As Will Lyon pits as well. I'm trying to work this out here in my head right now. It's a definite 2-stopper for Hugo Olsen then. Because if you can make this number on the last 2 stints, you can actually make this one on 2 stops. If it stays green. But here we go. Sheriff van der Sloot up to speed, and he actually got a bit of a lead over the rest of the field behind, but I think Levine is still in the draft, so all of the advantage that Sheriff van der Sloot built up in the pit cycle will kind of fade away again because of the draft, which in a way is a shame, but it also keeps the battle up front more closer. English is difficult sometimes, isn't it? Good to see Sam Blackwood in the mix as well, though. He is right in this battle for the race lead on track. As Hugo Olsen exits the pits. And I think he will rejoin right in the lead group. As he gets up to speed. Will Lyon actually to the front now. As all these cars fly by Hugo Olsen, who is still working his way up to speed. And there we go, he rejoins in the 3rd position. Now he's up to racing speeds. Mathieu Levine gonna look to the high side of Hugo Olsen as well, but I think Hugo's got this one, at least for now. And now Hugo's got the freshest tires, the most fuel in the car, so he can go the longest of the group. And he has also got track positions, so I think Hugo Olsen is in a very good position to get a good result if he doesn't get himself involved in any incidents, of course. Oh, look at this. We got everybody involved right now in this battle for the race lead. Sheriff van der Sloot leads across the line, but we got Mathieu Levine in 2nd. Will Lyon in 4th. Hugo Olsen actually goes to P3 right now across the line. With Schimberg still in P5, but everybody getting involved right now. I think this is a 7-8 car battle for the race lead at the moment. I just hope for these drivers they remember that we're not even halfway yet. There's no need to go this aggressive early on. But they're all racing drivers, so they're gonna go for it. So hopefully for them it doesn't end in tears. As we start lap number 50, so 75 laps to go. As 17 Schimberg still riding the high line. Like he's been doing all night long, really. And Sam Blackwood trying to do the same. Gets really close to Shane. Has to lift off the throttle a little bit more than he would like. I'm just watching this right now and I'm just thinking, please don't crash, please don't crash. And I think everybody in this group is thinking the same as well. I mean, so far everybody's being very polite on the track, giving lots of space, but knowing myself and a few people in this group, I don't think that's gonna last for too much longer. They're gonna be impatient and they want to go to the front, because at the moment Matthew Levine is pulling away from the rest of the field with Jesper Orman about to go a lap down. Wait, did he get a penalty or something? Because he was right at the front not too long ago. If he did get a penalty, I can't see that in SDK, so we will have to ask him after the race. But for some reason, Jesper Orman all the way down in 13th and about to be put a lap down. And he really is racing hard with Matthew Levine to stay on that lead lap. He doesn't want to lose it, because if there is a caution right now, he will be able to rejoin at the tail of the lead lap. Speaking of being lapped, Alexis Newsom's gone down a lap in the pit cycle, so you could effectively take her out of the mix. Won at Iowa, didn't race at Indy, and returns tonight with not very much success at the moment. Got two people up front, up 10 spots. Hugo Olsen started third, still in third. Then we got Shane Berg up 14 and Sam Blackwood up 10. So we got 4 huge movers in the race in the top 5. And I think Hugo Olsen has had enough of battling at the front. He is dropping back to probably save fuel and just wait it all out. And remember that everybody in this group basically pitted at the end of lap 40, lap 41, and some even on lap 39 or lap 42. But Hugo pitted at lap 44. So if you're going to split this race up, if you do 40 times 2, well, times 3 I guess, but with two stops, you end up at lap 120. If you do 44 times 3, that is 88, 100 and... wait. Yeah, 32, 132. So Hugo is probably the only driver that can make it to the end on 2 stops in total. So that will also be an advantage. If this race does stay green, he will have a huge advantage, because for the rest of the race he doesn't really need to save that much fuel. If he wanted to, he could race and still make the fuel numbers. Because he's in the dirty air, he is going to save fuel anyway, because you're going at a slower pace with all the dirty air, you have to lift off anyway. So you're going to make a better fuel number than, say, if you were out in the lead. So Hugo's got the best cards in the game right now, I would say, at least. On board with Sam Blackwood, still searching for his first podium in the league. Will tonight be the night? We will see. Came painfully close at Barber to even win the race, then had technical issues. So nothing really came of that. But currently running in P4, just outside of the podium positions. Really getting a nice run on the high line here. But I don't think he will make use of that, or will be able to make use of that. As the 2 Simtek cars blocking off any line that Sam could take to try and pass Berg, sorry. As Hugo Olsen to the inside, washes up, loses momentum and gets passed again by Blackwood. As we see Jesper Orman trying to snake and break the draft from Matthew Levine. So across the start finish line once again, 62 laps complete. As Blackwood and Olsen go side by side, but down the backstretch, and we are now halfway into this race. Let's take a quick look at Seth Kindler, who I do believe is making his first start in the Prime Meridian Racing League, racing for Team Watson Racing. And he started officially 20th, of course he started 17th with all the admins involved in the session as well. But started 17th, currently runs in P12, up 5 spots, so doing a good job here at the moment, just keeping his nose clean. And I think Seb's hoping for a caution or two to really get him back in the mix, because he is about 5 seconds away from the race lead, and he is one of 3 cars running behind the first group of cars, the main drafting pack. So these guys are just with 3, and they will lose some more momentum and more time as the race goes on. So these 3 really do need a caution at some point in the race at least. As Seb Alexander and Connie Nasrin also battling, or are they maybe working together? I'm not really sure. I think they're working together because Connie is leaving a lot of room on the inside for Seb to go by, and these 2 are basically swap drafting, which is something I explained earlier in the race, but I'll do it again. Basically, if you are running alone, you are setting laps of around 22 seconds. But if you're drafting, regardless of how much draft it is, any draft helps. We actually go faster in a straight line because the car in front of you is punching a hole in the air. Now, if you can draft up and pass on the inside, and you can time that correctly, you can actually gain a lot of lap time by doing that, which, if you're leading, allows you to pull away from the people behind, or if you're like these guys in a small group of cars behind the main group, you can actually use that to try and close back up again. And that drafting is really used a lot at tracks like these, the 2-mile ovals like Michigan and California, where the track is just big enough to do that, but also not have a big punishment and dirty air in the turns when you enter. So that's what these people are doing. And at the moment, it's... I was gonna say it's working, but it's not really working, but it's also not working, if you get what I'm saying. The gap's kind of staying the same, so that's, I guess, good enough, because you don't want to go a lap down around this place. If you do, your race is over. It's so hard, it's near impossible to gain a lap back simply by battling your way to the front. Unless you're Jasper Orman and you hold on to the lead lap, which he's been doing for the last, I don't know, 10-20 laps or so. There he is, Mathieu Levine on the high side, still leading. From Sheriff van der Sloot and Sam Blackwood, who has now gone into the top 3. Shane Berg drops to 6th. Maybe decided to save some fuel, I don't know. But 55 laps to go across the line. We are currently on lap 69. Nice. There we go, lap 70. 55 to go. So we are now in the final half of this race. I think slowly but surely, and we will definitely see this with about 25 laps to go, but I think slowly but surely right now, the gloves will start to come off for a few drivers, and we actually might see that right now with Matthew Levine and Jasper Orman. But Matthew has to remember he's not actually racing Jasper for position. It's very tempting to try and lap him, because Jasper is a very skilled driver overall. So if you can lap him, it effectively takes him out of competition. If you do that. It's also the way I race sometimes. If I'm racing against people and I know they're quick, I try to keep them a lap behind, so they have less of a chance to race me at the end. So I think that's what Matthew is trying to do here right now. But not really working at the moment. Alright, so Sam Blackwood into P2 right now, going to the high side of Matthew Levine. And we're going 3 wide with a lapped car of Jasper Orman still, by the way. But Sam Blackwood on the high side, gonna try to set himself up for a run on the exit off of turn 2. There we go, Sam Blackwood to the race lead. I believe for the first time tonight. Let's see if he can lead this lap. Of course, that will give him a bonus point for leading a lap. You get 50 points for winning the race. 2 points for scoring the pole and 1 point for leading a lap. I'm sorry, 2 points for leading the most laps, 1 point for the pole and leading a lap. With the Indycar point system. There we go, Sam did lead that lap, by the way. But Sharon van der Sloot also closing up to Matthew Levine, who seems to be struggling in the dirty air of Sam Blackwood right now, so hopefully for Matthew he can get his in-car adjustments right. Of course you have the weight jacker and the roll bars to adjust the handling of the car. Basically if your car is loose or oversteering, you want to take out weight jackers, so go negative, and if you want to loosen up the car, if your car is understeering or pushing, you want to add weight jacker, and of course the roll bars also help. Basically, one is loosening the front bar, and then 6 is stiffening the rear bar, and it works the same way on both ends. As Matthew Levine is the first car from the lead group to come into the pits. Of course the opposites also work depending on the condition of the car's handling, but here we go for pit stops with 45 laps to go. This is right on the edge of being able to make it, and I don't think Matthew will be able to make it to the end from here if there is no caution. It's going to be very difficult for sure. Seb Alexander also in the pits. As we now have 45 laps to go for Sam Blackwood and the rest of the field. As we have Urke Lindstrom and Alexis Newsom also peel off into the pits. But For these people, I think it's going to be possible to make it to the end, but they really do need to save a lot of fuel. As we're going to see Sam Blackwood come into the pits, gets dangerously close to the grass, but makes it to the line in time without spinning. Doesn't speed into the box, nice and easy, into the pit, sorry, nice and easy. Let's see how we can do it into the pit box. It's also very easy to overshoot the pit box and lose time there. Jasper Orman also in the pits, by the way, just in front of Sam. There's Sam stopping in his box, nice on the marks. And he is off and away for the final stint. Now Matthew Turner and Shane Burke also in the pits. And Seth Kindler up into P5 right now, but he is of course yet to pit still. Now remember that Hugo also went 44 laps on the first stint, so if he goes into the pits on lap 87, he will be able to comfortably make it to the end. He can actually underfuel the car as well for the stint, because he doesn't need to take as much as everybody else. So Andreas Eich and Seth Kindler go into the pits right now, so that just leaves the top 3 out on track. And I think these 3 are all trying to make it on one more stop. Should be possible from lap 85 with a small fuel save. As Sharon van der Sloot now peels off into the pits, Will Lyon gonna stay on one more lap. Gonna try and draft up to Hugo Olsen now. This might even be the fastest race in PMRL history if it stays green to the end. We haven't had a single caution tonight, believe it or not. And Will Lyon still stays out with Hugo Olsen. So from now, these two will be able to make it to the end without having to stop again. Of course, if they pit now, they don't have to stop again. There we oh, I thought Will Lyon was going to pit right there, but he just lost a little bit of time on the exit of turn 4. So no fuel saving from here is required by these drivers if they want to make it to the end. And I think these two will be the only 2 cars that can actually make it to the end from here. There we go, Will Lyon gonna peel off here first. And I would expect Hugo Olsen to pit the next lap, as everybody else behind is a lap down at the moment, because the track is so short. If you actually pit, you lose a lap. You're in the pits for I don't know how many seconds. Let's actually take a look to that, if we can find a timer for that. We do have that available. There we go, pit lane. 27, 28, 29, so I think it's about 40 seconds in the pits that you spend. The lap here is 32 seconds. So you lose a little bit over a lap. It's 42, 43 seconds. And there we go, Hugo Olsen in the pits as well now. So everybody now on race mode. They're gonna go for it from here. You have 35 laps to go. If you want to make something happen, it has to be in those final 35 laps. Hugo Olsen off and away again. The field closes up through turns 1 and 2 as Hugo makes his way up to speed. There we go. Hugo Olsen gonna pick up the draft. And he will be good to go from here. He can actually race these cars however much he would like. I think if Hugo is smart, he just lets these guys race for a few laps and burn up the fuel. And then really go for it again. He just has to play it smart with all the air in front of him. Wasn't so smart going low there. Let's see if he will go high. No, he does not. Stays low. Washes up the track again. And if you do that too much, it will wear out the fronts. A little bit quicker than you would like. There we go. Hugo goes to the high side right now. Gonna get a huge run off of turn 2 here. Picks up the draft from Sharon van der Sloot. Goes to the inside to take 2 people at the same time. On the inside of turn 3. Or into turn 3 I should say. And boom into the top 3. Top 2 positions even. I got confused with Jesper Orman still being up there, that's why. So it's Hugo Olsen in the lead right now with 32 laps to go across the line right now. There we go. In this Vopsy.com California 250. Of course, check out Vopsy lowercase iRacing on Instagram for iRacing paints of not just the Indycar but also different cars. And you can also check out the referral code in the description to Majors Garage, which you can use on a setup purchase over there to help out the league. Of course, next week we are going to Watkins Glen, which will actually be the classic boot layout and not the normal boot. So we'll not have the chicane on the back straight, which will significantly increase cornering speeds through what will then be turn 5, which is the fast downhill right-hander. And Watkins Glen is a classic IndyCar track, and we are really going to see the limit of these cars over there next week. And we are 30 laps away from the finish, and we are only an hour into the stream and into this race. So that just goes to show how quickly this race can go by if you have a clean and good group of guys and girls, of course, racing here at an oval like this. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's been a pack race all night long and these guys have kept it clean all the way. And hopefully all the way to the end as well. So Will Lyon into P2, goes by Sharon van der Sloot. And Will doing very good business in the point standings right now. Of course, Jesper Orman is down in 12th, and he was second in the points, third in the points, sorry. Daniel Dinsdale second in the points, isn't even here tonight. He has got other commitments, so can't make the race, or couldn't make the race. David Soranzo is in the racing tonight as well. Then Sam Blackwood is actually behind him as Will Lyon now goes to the race lead on the inside of Hugo Olsen. So Will doing an excellent job right now in extending that points lead. Of course, we are not at the finish yet, so anything can still happen, but it's looking very good for him for sure. So just 12 people on the lead lap, with Jesper Orman of course being that final car who has been battling to stay on that lead lap for over half the race. As we tick of 99 laps, starting lap 100, 25 laps to go next time by. And yes, the drivers will start risking it a little bit more now. So Will Lyon gonna try to get rid of Jesper Orman, who is, you could say, in the way. We all know, of course, that Will Lyon and Hugo Olsen stayed out the longest. They will be good to go on fuel to make it to the end. Oh, that's a bit of a late move by Jesper there. Will avoids him there. No contact made, as that is Sheriff on the Sloat going up the inside of Alexis Newsom, who is still running off the pace, down 2 laps now. Just running to make it to the end. Pick up a few points. As Hugo Olsen takes the race lead again with 24 laps to go. So we've seen a lot of opening doors as Jesper Orman, I almost want to consider that a block, to be fair, on Will Lyon, but Will Lyon to the inside and into the race lead again. But what we've been seeing all race long basically has been opening doors after you, after you. That's not really happening anymore. These people are really going for it right now, as was shown by Jesper Orman shutting the door on Will Lyon down the backstretch the last lap. But Hugo Olsen still sits in P2 right behind Will Lyon. And I think it's going to be playing in the minds of these drivers as well that Jesper Orman is actually spoiling the party at the front, because these people just want to race for the lead, but they have a well, I want to say a lapped car, but he's not lapped yet. But a driver that's about to be put a lap down, he is racing in between those battles for position, and of course it's still another car that gives you dirty air, so it's not ideal for sure. As Hugo also now back to the race lead, and the top 3 slowly breaking away from Matthew Turner in P4. Then there's a 2.7 second gap to Sam Blackwood in P5. Then a 9 second gap to Connie Naslund in P6. So the field definitely spreading out. And then from Shane Burke to Sam Alexander, there's also a 12 second gap. And I have to say, I'm super impressed that we haven't seen a single caution this race. Yes, we have had some incidents, but none of them severe enough to really throw out a caution by iRacing or the admins. So hats off to all the drivers so far for keeping it clean this long. We will be able to keep it clean all the way. Time will tell, but safe to say, this race has had a lot of action all the way. And it looks like it's going to come down to the final lap. It wouldn't surprise me to see Jesper Orman with 5 laps to go basically say, okay, you guys go, and I'm going to get myself out of this battle. But it might also not happen, because if you basically get inside 5 laps to go, if there's a caution, that's the race. So there's no point in staying on the lead lap then, because there's not much to really gain anyway when that happens. Or if that even happens. As we go 3 wide across the line again with Jesper Orman in the middle. It might also be a secret way of getting some airtime for Jesper Orman. I don't think we covered Seb Alexander too much tonight, but runs in the 10th position, just inside that top 10, 27 seconds down from the leader. And he's got Seth Kindler right behind, but those two haven't really been racing each other at all. They've been staying in position for the last 10-20 laps or so, so not much really happening between these two. I think Seth will just be happy to get it to the finish in this one, because he was on the back foot since the first stint. He was already 5 seconds behind the lead group, and then from there it kind of went from bad to worse in terms of losing time to the leaders. So if Seb can finish on the lead lap, I think he'll be reasonably satisfied with his result. But 16 laps to go. The leader's coming up behind them down the backstretch. As Lion edges a nose ahead of Orman here, but still not able to clear him. As Urke Lindström goes into the pits from P14 too. Urke already down 10 laps, so I think he's just gonna park it and call it a day. So at the line there will be 13 laps to go. Still really difficult to tell who's going to win this race. It's been Will Lyon who's been leading the last few laps though, so I think he's got the best cars right now, but Hugo Olsen's got the most fuel and also stayed out the longest on the last pit cycle, so he will have the freshest tires. So don't count him out yet, or Sharon van der Sloot. I think Sharon is hungry for his first win in the series, and so is Matthew Turner by the way, but he's a little bit too far behind to really be a factor, I don't think. So it's really the top 3 racing for the win against Jesper Orman, who's still trying to hold on to the lead lap. There we go. Sam Blackwood is the first car to go in for a splash of fuel. Clearly didn't have enough to make it to the end to begin with, but now just a confirmation of that. Slides into the box, but stops it in time though. So just a splash and go for Sam. No tires, just fuel. Actually, that's a famous line from Cars. No tires, just gas. But he's off and away again. Hopefully for him he doesn't blow a tire on the final lap in the final turn, leading the race. I don't think he's going to be leading by the final lap, but oh well. That's how the car scene played out. And these 3 running off the pace, trying to save fuel probably. Definitely a huge lift to try and save some fuel. Just listen to that. So low in the RPMs. Is Andreas Eick trying to make it to the pit, not to the pits, to the end of the race with 10 laps to go. As Matthew Levine goes to the high side and flies by. But these three, or these two I should say, Hugo Olsen and Will Lyon to the outside of Jesper Orman. And these two are just not able to clear Jesper Orman. But Jesper has been positioning his car oh so well all night long, not losing that lap. But I don't think there will be a caution. So hopefully for the race's sake, he will let the two leaders go and battle it out properly. As Jesper goes into the pits right in front of Will Lyon. So Hugo Olsen to the race lead then with 8 laps to go. And now it's a straight fight to the finish. 14 miles to go at the end of this lap. To decide the winner of this race, it's basically Indianapolis all over again. It's a two-way fight for that race win. The caution danger zone is the fight for P7. Yes, it is. P6 right now, to be fair. With Orman pitting that last lap, but here we go. Olsen to the inside again. I think if you're leading off of turn 4, you're going to be able to just keep the car in front on the run up to the line. So that's probably what Will is noticing right now. He wants to set himself up to lead off of turn 4 on the final lap and not be the car drafting up behind. Because at some tracks, that's actually the way to go. If you draft up behind and pull out before the line, and you can actually drive by before the line and win the race that way. But it seems you want to be in front going into turn 4 and coming out of it. Unless you're as close as Will is right now. Here we go. Olsen still leads. Of course, on the final lap, anything kind of goes. So you might also see somebody use the apron to try and get an advantage that way. Whether that's legal in PMRL, I'm not really sure actually, but oh well, we'll see actually anyway after the race. If somebody does do it and they get a penalty, at least they tried. It's something you kind of have to do anyway. Of course, it's all a fight for the win, so you're going to do everything in your power to get it. As Hugo Olsen again leads across the line, so 4 laps to go. There's Matthew Levine exiting the pit. He was running at the front all race long. Just didn't really go his way. And I think this is going to be his first finish on the edge of the top 10 in any of the races he's done this season. Of course, finished P2 many times this season. Matthew Levine did. Very consistent podium finisher. But 3 laps to go. And Sheriff van der Sloot is right in the mix as well. So it's a 3-horse race for the race win. The Vopsu.com California 250. As Hugo Olsen on the middle pulls clear of Will Lyon, who slides up. So Sheriff van der Sloot to P2. And here we go. Sharon gonna line Hugo up for a run off turn 4 to try and get ahead on the exit of turn 2. To the high side again, so he's going for the momentum line. And he might get it, yes he does, with a little bit of lap traffic in front that might play a part in this race, very much like it did in real life last weekend in Texas. So Sheriff van der Sloot to the race lead, coming out of turn 4, lap traffic involved still, so white flag is out. Sheriff van der Sloot leads across the line. Hugo Olsen goes to the inside now, but with the dirty air in front, will he be able to get the car to stick and keep that position? Slides in front of Sheriff van der Sloot, who cuts back to the inside now, picks up the draft of the lapped cars in front, pulls clear of the lapped cars. It's actually a teammate of Sharon's involved in that lapped car scrap as well, so that might help him out a little bit as he actually opens the door for Sheriff van der Sloot to get the clean air off of turn 4. It's gonna be Sheriff van der Sloot from the Netherlands, my countryman. He wins, and the Vopsi.com California 250. Hugo Olsen finishes P2. And with the lap traffic deciding the race at the end, I think there might be a little bit of fireworks on the Discord actually, but that was great car positioning from the Simtech Motorsport drivers, and Sheriff van der Sloot brings home the win for that team who are new to the league this season, and they are making a statement right here on the ovals. Will Lyon comes home in P3, gains a lot of points, and something I also missed completely, Sebastian Kindler from the back of the grid finishes P6. Well done to you, my friend. So the final laps, once again deciding a California finisher, like we have seen so many times in other leagues and official races and whatnot. But Sheriff van der Sloot, I think out of fuel or something, trying to coast to the line. But what a great win for that team, and for sure helped by his teammate Shane Berg there on the final lap. But only the top 3 able to make it to the end on 2 stops. In total, the rest all had to stop for a 3rd time and a splash of fuel. Of course, we saw Sam Blackwood do that, but everybody else had to do the same. So we see donuts from Sheriff van der Sloot as he wins the Vopsi.com California 250. So he wins in front of Hugo Olsen by just under 0.2 of a second. Then it's Will Lyon who finishes 0.469 behind in the 3rd position. And those 3, the top 3, the only cars on the lead lap. Everybody until until Matthew Levine finish a lap down because they had to take a splash of fuel. Then Matthew Levine, Seb Alexander finished 2 laps down. Alexis Newsom 3 laps down. Jasper Orman 4 laps down, and then we all have retirees in it. Eric Lindstrom, Callum Croxton, and Anna Jorfin, also Sam Moyle, with AJ Musselman already out on lap 3. The rest of the field are all admins, so we don't need to really cover that, do we? But we will anyway. So Phil Walling, Gary Gotso, and Jessica Saban, those are the 3 admins of the league. Thank you as well, by the way, to Jessica for allowing me to broadcast the series. But that's it for the race. Let's go to this beautiful screen and see if anybody on Discord wants to have a nice little chat. It's going to be weird for me to talk to a countryman of mine in English, not in the same language that we usually speak, but oh well. Hopefully it's going to go well.
So.
All right. Sorry to interrupt your chat, boys, but we are here for the podium interviews. We'll start with the 3rd place finisher, Will Lyon. You were up there in the mix for the race lead in the final few laps, but just came up short on the win, but still a very good points day for you.
Yeah, really good result. As always, just kind of aim for the top 10, and to get a podium's really decent. It's probably could be my first ever podium on an oval in this league. So yeah, really happy with it. There wasn't much going on. I just decided to fuel save in that first stint, and then looking at the numbers, it looked like fuel saving for the whole race basically was going to be the best strategy because the others might have to do a splash at the end. So that was it really. Just unfortunately, I got a little bit loose somehow in the last maybe 5 laps before the end, and I just fell behind Hugo and Sherwin, and combined with the sort of dirty air with them, and I think it was Andreas and Shane up ahead. I just had nothing to fight with at the end, so I just settled in and took P3.
Well, I think that sums it up perfectly. So
That's it.
yeah, exactly. But going to Watkins Glen next week, it's a track you've been very successful at in the past. So you're doing a very good job right now in the point standings with just a few races to go. Of course, a drop week is now taken into consideration as well. But with Daniel not racing and Jasper finishing down in, I think it was 12th or something, you really take a huge lead into Watkins Glen in the final 3 races of the season. So before I let you go, feel free to send out your shout-outs as always.
Yeah, didn't really do any practice for this, so I can't really say like the team worked well together, but I guess Matt was doing a good job at the end there, holding up Andreas, which gave us a bit of a gap. But yeah, just looking forward to the last few races. Dan will get his drop week this week, so hopefully when it all gets added up, it should be pretty close. Watkins will be really, really hard to sort of break away from everyone because of we're not using the chicane, so it'll just be a massive draft fest. Everyone done that massive long straight, just keeping their train. It'll almost be like an oval, so still a long way to go. Anything could happen there.
Exactly. So gonna move on to Hugo Olsen. Great race from you. You were the only driver in the first stint to go 44 laps on the fuel tank. Did you know early on going into this race that it was going to come down to fuel saving if it stayed green, or was that just a strategy that you kind of thought, why not just save fuel anyway?
Like after the warm-up session, I looked at the race distance and that, and then on the out lap, I quickly did the fuel math, and I saw, okay, you can make it on 2 stops if you save a bit of fuel. So I could hit the number saving fuel, like swap drafting with some guys up front, but I got shuffled back to the tail of the lead group, or closer to the middle in the first and second stint. And so I was just trying to hang around, save fuel for the end, and come back strong, and almost made it all the way.
Yeah, so there was a little bit of lap traffic involved there in the final few laps there. I didn't actually see when you guys got them, but I am sure that it really affected you quite a lot. So just talk me through the final few laps, maybe what you were thinking as well, battling with Sherry for the race win.
Yeah, I couldn't really get too comfortable with the setup, how it handled in traffic and all that. So I knew it was going to be tough when we reached the lapped cars, and unfortunately, I timed it a bit wrong. He did it too, but he handled it a bit better than what I did when we caught them. So he ended up on top at the end there. So yeah, it was decided by the way you handled the lapped cars there at the end.
All right, so yeah, feel free to send out your shoutouts as well before we move on to the race winner.
Yeah, thanks to Powerslide Motorsports. Unfortunately, Henry couldn't make it today, but yeah, and also thanks to the people at PMRL that puts this together.
Perfect. So thank you as well, by the way. Great job, Hugo, and also Will, by the way, finishing in 3rd position. But moving on to the race winner, Sherry van der Sloot. Goedenavond, jongen. All right, we're gonna do this in English.
Yep.
It's not something I really like. I prefer to talk to you in Dutch, but oh well, we have to do it. So your first win in the series, decided in the final lap, with your teammate involved too. Just talk me about your race and also the final few laps and maybe any team communications.
Yeah, I started off the race with a pretty crappy qualifying, as I am notorious for by now. But I just decided from the race start to go in a fuel saving mode. I hadn't done any calculations really regarding fuel usage. I just figured with a potential caution coming out, it could be useful to save a little bit of fuel. But it still allowed me to be competitive, move up to the field. P5, P6, I settled for a good while. I thought I was going long on fuel, going 42 laps on stint 1. And sure enough, a few people went even further, 43 laps, 44 laps. At that point, I started sweating a little bit. But you never know what happens, especially in an oval race. Quick speedway like this. At the very end there, at one point I thought I honestly lost Hugo and Will completely. I was still saving fuel. Wasn't actually aware that I had already saved enough to go flat out until the end. When I realized I was just still close enough to use the draft and cling up to them. And yeah, at the end of the race there, we caught up to Shane and Andreas. And they were still battling it out for fourth. So obviously, Shane and I, we spoke. We wanted to know each other's ideas. Obviously, my battle was for the lead. His was for P4. I didn't want him to sacrifice his battle. He didn't want me to sacrifice my battle. So we went about our own ways. Obviously, at the very, very end there, he tried to allow me the space, allow all of us the space so we could have a fair fight till the end. And yeah, I mean, how can I be anything but happy with a win? Not only the first win in this league, but the first podium even. So obviously, to kick it off like this is amazing.
Well, it's a dream. It's a dream team, I guess, right? So, great job tonight by you and also your team. So feel free to send out your shoutouts.
Obviously, I have to send one out to Shane. He always helps me with my tactics in the race. We discuss strategy. We work together on track. It's always beautiful teamwork between us. And everyone else at SimTech Motorsport that are obviously always there to support us. Sim Racing Cockpit, Polaroid. You know, just, yeah. What can I say except for thank you to everyone involved, and hope we can build on this.
All right, well, I sure hope for you and your team you can do that too. But next week, Watkins Glen coming up. Any thoughts, expectations, or anything?
I'm looking forward to it. I really enjoy Watkins Glen. It's not my most successful track, but I really do look forward to going back on the road courses. So we'll see how she goes.
Exactly. So best of luck for next week, and we'll see you then.
Thank you.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up for us here tonight. I really do like his English, by the way. That's good. I'm a bit jealous right now, but so Sheriff van der Sloot, first-time winner in the Prime Meridian Racing League. It all decided on the final lap, with some teamwork coming into play as well, which is of course for Sharon. Very nice and always a good thing to have, of course, teammates helping you out in a battle for the win. But next week, Watkins Glen, as I said. So, yeah, just really looking forward to that. It's been a while since we've raced there and also on a different track configuration. So it's going to be interesting to see how the drafting works, like Will also pointed out. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I want to thank everybody for watching, tuning into the stream. I also want to thank Majors Garage and Valpsy iRacing Paints for sponsoring the league, and also to Jessica Saban for allowing me to broadcast this league this season. So once again, congratulations to Sheriff van der Sloot and SimTech Motorsports on their first win in the series, and we will see you all next week for Watkins Glen.